Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Lookout video. Today we have a special guest with us. Even hi, but namely we have a special guest who topped this weekend's card market spring regionals, namely Oliver, who went first. So, hi, Oliver. Thank you for tuning in, and first of all, of course, congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about yourself. When did you start playing? Uh, what do you like specifically about the game before we enter into your deck list and bring us, string of thoughts.
So I started playing card games competitively, I guess, when I was 11. That's when I started like entering tournaments. But when I started playing Dragon Ball was, I think, when I was 15, so 2 years ago now. Um, and I guess the reason I like the game is just because I like the mechanic of being able to charge any cards in your hand to use them as energy. So nothing is necessarily like dead in your hand because you can always be using it as your energy or for these like combo mechanics as well. There's always different ways to use the cards in your hand. And also, the main reason I started playing is just because I followed around a friend who went between a load of different card games, and so I just followed him around and ended up playing what he played.
Gotcha. So basically, if my math is right, you're 17, right?
Yeah.
Well, folks, this is how us old people get schooled by a 17-year-old player. Excellent work on your end. And before we dive into the deck profile, I'm just gonna go give a quick shout out to Card Market, our very own sponsor.
Card Market is Europe's largest platform for all TCGs. Always find the right cards by buying and selling them across Europe with other players and collectors. Be it singles, boosters, booster boxes, or any other accessories, you name it. Card Market is the place to get them safely, securely, and readily available.
So, without further ado, you basically played Syn Shenron on this tournament, and the route you went with was actually the aggro version of the Shenron. Can you uh, say something about why you chose specifically the aggro route for this format for this tournament as well?
Yeah. Mostly because I felt like it had a good set of matchups against most of the field, most of the metagame. Um, but also because I really liked the flexibility of it, because there are games where you can kill them on turn 3 really easily with like the Omega Shenrons and the Cell Xeno. You can also play a much more defensive game and sit back and bring out a massive wall of 9 drops and barrier blockers and extend the game to turn 5 where you can kill them with the Cell Xeno effect to give it dual attack.
Interesting. Okay. So let's get into the list a bit. First of all, you played the Ray Shannon package as well as the 9 drop and 8 drop Syn Shenron package. What were the main decisions on keeping the 9 drop in the deck, for example?
Um, that was mostly because it was a best of one format for the card market tournament, and I wanted my deck to have the most flexibility that it could have within the main deck because I wouldn't be able to use a side deck. And so keeping cards like the 9 drop in and high ratios of the Syn Shenron package, whilst also having the Raid Shenron,
Hmm.
really allowed me to flip between being defensive and offensive in the same game or across different games, but with the same deck. Um, I think going forward, if I were to play the deck in a best of 3 format, I'd probably cut down on the 9 drops and move them over to the side deck, and possibly even cut down on some of the 4 drops in Shenrons as well, and then up the ratios on the Raid Shenron, and also throw in a card like uh, I think it's called Pan Great Ape Whisperer,
Hmm.
the blocker that comes out for free when you awaken on 2 or less life,
Yes, correct. The Great Bad
and just
Whisperer.
yeah, if I were to play the deck in a best of 3 format, I'd make it much more aggressive and then have a load of defensive tools in the side deck.
A lot of things that are seen here. It begs the question: why didn't you play any negates, like at least two? And why did you not play Cooler, the counter cutter?
I felt like Cooler was a a little bit too expensive for the deck. One thing I really like about the deck is almost every single card essentially costs 1 energy because of your negative energy ball mechanics. And I didn't run any negates because I felt like the deck was already defensive enough with the different blockers, and because you could give your Omega Shenron barrier blocker, so that it was really tricky to remove.
And you probably played. I mean, we know you played Red Broly, and that is an easy matchup for Syn Shenron. But did you play any other red decks during the day? And did you play against any green decks? Because Dormant can easily stall you out sometimes.
Yeah. So round 2, I played against Turles, and I did struggle because he saw, I think it was 3 different copies of Dormant. But I just played my game a lot more defensively and sat behind Omega Shenrons and the 9-drop Syn Shenrons. And that allowed me to stall out his game because he couldn't get through my board. And then I also played against a red-green launch and a King Piccolo deck, rounds 3 and 4. And during those games, I would just try and pressure down the leader so that I could get out Violent Rays every single turn if they had it. And then always making sure that I swung with a 30k battle card to get the most value in case they did have Violent Rays. And then after that, I would just swarm the board with using the Nuova Shenron, and then swinging with 15ks as well, whilst also being able to set up blockers straight after that.
Yeah, because it's very difficult sometimes to overcome the launch. If you're going for a card for card exchange, they will literally win you over because their one card is actually 2 cards.
Yeah. It really did help in that matchup having the 9-drop come out because it could negate the Piccolo Junior skills.
Of course. And what is your regular turn progression? I mean, we see 3 different negative star balls, so that gives you the versatility that you actually need. But let's say that you go first against something. Do you opt to play the 5-star ball or the 1-star ball? What is your main objective? To actually put the Rage Shenron out, or I don't know, go down the route of maybe misleading your opponent that you're going to the 9-drop route, but then you actually switch your gears and go towards something else?
I think it really depends on the matchup, and that's part of the reason why I've got such low ratios of each of the balls, so that I can mostly draw into Ice Shenron turn 1 and have that flexibility. So for example, against Dark Broly, I'd go into the 5-star ball chain because they can really easily remove the Syn Shenron stuff with their uncontrollable Berserker. But against a deck like Red Broly, I want to be bringing out the 9-drop immediately. So I'd go up into the Syn Shenron line. I think it really depends on the matchup, and especially if the opponent's deck is much more based around the leader. Like against Turles, for example, I went up into the Syn Shenron line just with the intention of stopping them getting to the combo phase so they couldn't bring out all of their free plays.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about the super combo, you had Krillin moments before comeback. He is a great super combo for this particular kind of deck because you can put yourself actually to 4 lives and do the exchange. Did you have any bricking issues? And how many times did you play firsts in tournament?
I think I only won the dice roll in the last 2 rounds. I possibly won it round 1. I can't remember, but I know that I went on a massive streak of losing the dice roll every round.
Like having a D6 against an opponent who's always rolling D20s.
Yeah,
The other question was regarding bricking issues. Did you have any?
Oh, no, not at all. The deck is super consistent because you have 4 Oceanus, 4 Ice Shenron, and then 7 copies of balls. So you have 15 essential copies of balls. And also, if you're going second, you get the leader swing.
This is a small prediction that I'm going to have to ask you. You know the hype about the turn 2 victory strike deck that's coming out when the next set releases. one of my theories, and what would you think? Will you say yes to me or no? I would like to hear your thoughts. One of the most resilient strategies against that deck, if it won't be touched by the ban list, is literally Syn Shenron. Yeah, it has inherent built-in anti-turn 2 victory strike
Yeah, because
strategy.
Haze
Yeah,
Shenron's so strong.
yeah. Did you play him much during your tournament, or did you just combo him away?
Yeah, I played him quite a lot. I think
Mhm.
a lot of people either forget or underestimate the fact that you can evolve him onto the 3-drop, and then it switches back to active mode. So a really common play that I ended up doing was using Nuova Shenron to revive the 3-drop, and then getting a 15k swing and then a 20k double strike swing on top of that for 1 energy if I'm playing the Nuova that turn.
Yeah, and potentially
Yeah.
returning with the Haze Channel, returning a Oceanus, let's say, to hand or anything else that you actually need, and then recycling its effects again.
Well, the 3-drop Haze Shenron has its skills negated if it's brought out with the Nueva Shenron. But yeah, if it's brought out by the ball,
Yeah,
I would.
but all in all, this is really good showing for the Syn Shenron. I mean, 3 decks actually topped.
Yeah,
Your version is probably the best. I mean, the control versions are good, and not a lot of decks can actually main that much responses that they can do in a best of 3 format. But you piloted it very well because of you, we didn't have an 8th round. At the end of the tournament, we were actually happy that you had an XO because we were like, oh yeah, we can probably go eat something and be done for the
yeah.
day.
Yeah. And if I can actually ask, I'm looking here at this one of surprise attack Natron Shenron. Did you have anything specific in mind when you put the one copy in the deck, or did you just need any sort of a number of a different shadow dragon that made this into the list?
Um, it wasn't really about anything specific, but Naturon Shenron is just such a great card for the deck, because it allows you interruption if you play it off of Nuova Shenron, because its skills become live in your opponent's turn. But it also allows you some aggression if you copy it off of the Omega,
Mhm.
and then interruption in your opponent's turn with the same effect. The only reason that I wasn't running 2 copies, and originally when I was testing on Untap,
Mhm.
I was running 2 copies, was because I didn't have a physical second copy. So I had to cut it down to 1, which was a bit of a shame. But luckily
My
enough,
my advice: don't even run 2. I've tried to run 2, and it's always the greatest and bestest idea. But after a while, you realize that the 1 copy, when it's there, it's okay. But when it's not, you can live without it. You have everything else to copy, actually, with your Omega Shenron or anything else.
yeah. Luckily enough, throughout the tournament, I think it was during the middle sort of rounds, I milled it off of my Nuova Shenron 2 or 3 times, and I was really happy every single time I would burst 2, and I'd be like, oh, I'll just bring something back, like an Ice Shenron to get an extra card, and slam out the Naturon Shenron. It was amazing.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah. So, do you maybe want to add anything specific? What was your maybe most what was your most of the highlights from the tournament? Did you have anything that you want to specifically highlight, either a play style or a matchup against something that you find quite interesting, quite unusual?
Um, I don't think there's anything I massively want to highlight. The only thing I can say is that for anyone who is looking to play the deck, or maybe build a Syn Shenron deck, the Dark Broly matchup is actually really interesting, and I really enjoyed playing against it because you have to go into the 5-star ball route and just pressure down their leader before their awaken turn, and then if you can try and bait them into swinging with their 7-drop before they drop a heartfelt plea, generally you can do that by staying at high life, and then they feel threatened and feel like they have to kill you that turn. then you can use the Haze Shenron to kill the 7-drop before they go into Heartfelt Plea. And it's actually a really fun matchup because there's a lot of little minor decisions that really, really affect the outcome of the game.
But you have to sit tight and you have to actually sacrifice one of your lives for them to actually swing at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dark Broly is one of his toughest matchups, actually. And in the best of one format, you cannot see a lot of Dark Brolys because it's not built for a best of one format that much. I mean, so what would you say that is, apart from Dark Broly, what is the worst matchup and what is the best matchup for Syn Shenron?
Oh, that's quite tricky, actually.
I said we will grind you, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty tricky question because I felt like the reason that I played the deck was because I felt like all of the matchups were pretty even in some way or another. Any kind of low to the ground aggro deck, something like Vegex or something, if they get the right mills, then that can really give you a tough time, in my opinion, especially if you go second and you don't go into the 9-drop immediately.
Yeah, from my experience, even Dragon Thunder was holding a spot in the deck just because to give the leader a plus 5k boost, so they don't always overrun you with everything. But even then, sometimes it's just not that important. Syn Shenron is a great deck, but it lacks a obvious field removal in some kind of capacity. You can stall out the game, you can tap a lot of battle cards, but you cannot wipe everything off. I mean, me. Who's me to say? You're the one who won the tournament. But I even tried with the Frieza 5-drop from the new set because he clears the board. And sometimes it was okay, but not enough to actually keep it in the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
unfortunately, yellow does not have that much of a removal in itself. Mostly they rest cards, so yeah, not only Syn Shenron is struggling with that type of a thing, but definitely it would benefit off a board removal.
Yeah, but I mean, his pseudo board removal is the 9-drop because you can block, then restand him. But then again, today's matches are played in a manner that the winning game swings are usually come from unisons and from leaders, so you cannot interact with them. So you have to actually block those attacks, and you cannot kill the leader. Why would you then? But I don't know. The battle cards just then have an opening. But what would you say that what would you say is the best matchup for Syn Shenron?
I really don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I, for example, as a red Broly player, would definitely say that that Syn Shenron is one of the worst matchups if you don't have the Goliathite 2-drop battle card in your main, especially in the best of one format. So if as long as Syn Shenron hits the 9-drop, sorry, not dark Broly, but the red Broly is effectively stopped each turn for a minimum of 1 swaps per chain. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, for a maximum of 1 swaps per chain.
I would say definitely Red Broly. As long as you get the 9-drop out, it can feel very good to play against. But even then, in my last round, I felt terrified the entire time because I knew that as soon as I made one tiny misplay, I could lose the game off of it.
Yeah,
But you didn't.
but you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going forward, if you're maybe planning on playing on other card market regional events which have been announced, by the way, people strongly suggest you do that as well. Would you think about playing this deck again, or going forward in set 13? Would you still consider this as the main option for the best of one format?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Hi, can you
one
hear me?
because it would definitely be the one that I played
Yeah, sorry. Can you just repeat this one more time because apparently I had a system issue and
No, you had
yeah.
a system issue. We heard him very
Oh,
correctly. So
yeah, excellent. So yeah, then just repeat one more time for the audience as well.
Yeah, so going forward, I think I'd definitely play this deck again just because it's so flexible for best of one format. And you can run like a lot of different variants of it in the same deck, and you can play it so differently. And also, mostly because it's the only deck that I have at the moment. So if it were for a webcam event, that would be the deck that I played.
Nice,
cool.
excellent. And finally, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah. So first of all, I have a YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's called Big O Notation. But also shout out to my friend over on Scrub Games who lent me the entire deck to play for the webcam event, and also just been a great friend and given me some good advice throughout the day.
Sweet. So people definitely, we will hit a link on Oliver's channel down in the description. So check it out as well. And once again, congratulations on your win. Thank you for being a part of our own little lookout session with your profile. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming tournaments, the upcoming format as well.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Don't mention it. Thank you.
and people just keep a lookout.